Thanks so much, Mike. It's such a privilege to be with you, the loving team, and your incredible community here today. I want you all to know that Mike Haynes is a man that has been really important to me on my journey. He's been a very special guy in my life. Mike and I have both been working to use all our gifts and talents and abilities to grow two incredible organizations, Loving and Movement Mortgage. And I can tell you as a leader, you don't go on a journey without some good friends. And Mike has been one of those good friends on this journey. We've had so many great conversations about, the highs, the mountaintops, but also sometimes the lows, those valleys that we all walk through as entrepreneurs, as leaders, as people who are looking to go out and make a difference in this world. And one thing that Mike and I have had a lot of fellowship around, a lot of conversations around, are the fact that sometimes on our journey, the very things that we feel like are setting us back are really just set-ups for future successes. So I thought I might share with you all just a couple of the things that Mike and I have processed over the last 10 years on setbacks that actually turned into setups. So before I was leading Movement Mortgage, I was playing football for the Carolina Panthers, and this is a lesson I learned early on. Anything worth doing, any journey worth embarking on is typically uphill. The best things in life are usually a grind, and they take energy and effort and an uphill orientation to achieve. And for me, football was no different. I joined the Carolina Panthers as an undrafted free agent rookie, which basically means you are human cannon fodder. You're really there so that the real players on the team don't get hurt during preseason. I didn't even have a real number my first year with the Panthers. It was like 108 or something. And in my very first game, I was the 5th tight end on the depth chart on a team that had never kept more than 3. And to start the game, I was what they called the wedge. The wedge is a horrible place to be. It's a place where your body is going to take amazing amounts of abuse. Essentially, it goes like this. The other team kicks the ball off, and you immediately turn and run backwards away from that team, grab hands with your best friend, and head into another human being who's running at full speed towards you for 60 yards. Ball went up in the air. I grabbed Chris Mangum's hand and turned, and a human fire hydrant was barreling down the field at me. Well, I had to make the team, and I had to hit that challenge head on. So I did all I could. I mustered all my strength and energy. I put my head down and smashed into this young man. And I'll tell you something about the arrogance of football players. When I hit him, everything went black. Everything went black. And when I kind of came to, I was still standing up, and my hands were gripping his jersey. And I said, man, I must have really crushed this guy. And so I drove my feet for a couple, and I shoved him. And then I looked down, and I saw that my all-white jersey was covered in blood. And in only the arrogance that an NFL player could muster, I looked at him and said, sucker, you're bleeding all over me. Little did I know, as I got back to the sidelines, both of my chin straps had busted off. The front of my helmet had come down, broken the bridge of my nose, and my blood had exploded all over my then white jersey. The trainer grabbed me and said, Casey, you're out. Get out of the game. Sit down. Your nose is busted. And I looked at him and said, you don't understand. They're making cuts tomorrow. I just got married. I have a condo payment, a car payment. My wife's in her first year of law school. Like, if I don't go back in that game and do something more useful than just stand in the way and be the wedge, I'll never be on this team next week. And we gotta get there. Like, I have a real deep need, and a little half Italian, half Cuban wife who's counting on me to have a paycheck next week. So we shoved some gauze in and put a shield on. In the second half, I got to start the game. Now, Damian Craig was the quarterback in the second half, and I had actually played against this guy in college in Auburn. We didn't like each other a whole lot. We had talked a lot of trash years earlier, but for some reason in that second half, Damian Craig just kept throwing me the ball. And it was nothing, not because of my incredible athleticism or anything I was doing. I simply was running these routes. I'd turn around and no one would be up, and he'd throw me the ball, and I'd kind of stumble backwards. And one time got in the end zone, scored a touchdown, had a 2-point conversion, and somehow at the end of the game, I had gotten 5 catches, 80 yards, and they named me the player of the game. Now, believe me, I had no idea how that had occurred. No idea. It wasn't because of any kind of physical prowess that I had. I simply got back out on the field. But when they were interviewing Damian Craig, I said, Damian, you found this big rookie tight end. He's not even on the depth chart. Damian, they were looking through and said, who is this guy? Why were you throwing the ball so much to Casey Crawford. And Damien kind of laughed. He said, man, as I was rolling out, I just see this big red target on his jersey. And I let the ball go, and he kept catching it. And I thought, man, isn't that incredible? Isn't that the way life is so much? Like the very thing, that red mark on a white jersey that came from me breaking my nose and exploding my own blood all over my jersey became the very thing that caught a quarterback's eye to throw me the ball to keep me around for another week. See, sometimes those things that feel like setbacks, man, if we'll keep pressing forward, if we'll keep stepping out, if we'll keep taking the field, if we'll keep just taking the gifts that God's given us and using them to our fullest, man, those very things become the things that set us up for success that we couldn't have imagined. And Mike and I have fellowshipped about a lot of those things over the last decade, encouraging each other on our mutual journeys, just saying, hey, keep at it, keep getting back on the field, keep using these gifts, these opportunities that you have to love and serve the team that you're on. And it is incredible to look back over a decade of what God can do with a faithful, consistent effort towards walking uphill towards missions and callings of purpose. Now, at Movement, we have about 4,000 team members. We help about 1 out of every 75 Americans buy their home. We have 4 charter schools and thousands of kids and really some really transformative processes and cultural initiatives that we're undertaking that we think are actually going to change the way people think about the work environment. And I was sharing these with a great friend of mine, and we were walking through, and I was kind of proud. I was showing them our building. I was showing them our schools. And I was showing them all the houses that we've helped people buy. And at the end of our tour, I was ready to hear a bunch of accolades and hear, good job, attaboy. And this leader that I really respected looked at me and he said, Casey, you've showed me a lot of things. You showed me a lot of numbers. Showed me a lot of stats. I just have a question for you. So what? So what? So you built a bunch of buildings. So you help people get into a house. And so you have some schools. So what? And the question crushed me. So what do you mean, so what? This has been a decade of work. This has been sleepless nights. This has been early mornings. This has been tears and hurt and heartache. What do you mean, so what? Don't you understand how important this is? You see, Casey, one thing I've learned is that if your work doesn't improve someone else's life, man, it's just so what? It's just so what? But if when you wake up, when you use these gifts that God's given you for someone else's benefit, when you love and serve another, man, that work has a purpose and it becomes so that. That's been a pivotal transition for me in my life and understanding of the purpose of my work. And I want to encourage each one of you at Loving, each one of you that are associated with this community, let us not ever wake up early, work hard, work late, just for so what. Let it always be attached to so that. And that so that, it's about others. It is about loving and serving others, bringing value to their life, bringing life, light, and hope to the people and the teams around us that God has intentionally placed into our lives. And when you do that, you can lay your head down at night knowing that the impact of your life will have an eternal value and an eternal impact. And I want to encourage you all that are part of the Loving community. Your work is not in vain. Let's remember always that what we do has an eternal purpose, and it is so that others will be loved, others will have hope, and others will have a sense of the goodness of being a part of a community that cares about them, that values them over themselves. Loving, you're doing this in such incredible ways. And we're going to watch a little video right now on some of the ways that your work is making it possible for people in Haiti to be loved and served so that they know, man, they are not forgotten.
My name's Lisa Gerard, and I'm the founder of Grace Up. Well, a lot of people ask me why Haiti, why I chose Haiti, and I tell them that Haiti actually chose me because I was at church one Sunday and our pastor asked us to pray about what breaks God's heart. So pray for Him to break our heart for what breaks His heart. And that was really the beginning of wanting to get involved with something. In February of 2018, I was planning my first trip. And thinking about Haiti, really the images that come to mind are what you see on the news. Tires burning in the streets, a lot of violence, political unrest, extreme poverty. You know, all of those images flashed in my mind. But as we got closer to the ground, I could see the poverty. The first children that I came into contact with was right after church on that Sunday. We got in late Saturday night, and after church I meet a deacon, and he was maybe the second child I came in contact with.
And I asked her if she wanted to buy one of the bracelets, and she told me, what do I need the money for? And I told her I needed to pay for my English class. We had this conversation. That's when I met her, and since that day, I never stopped coming at her because I feel like God sent her to be an answer for all of my dreams. In Haiti, there's many things that need to be taken care of and make a better place for the children to live and all that.
After 10 to 12 visits, I knew that it was the right time to bring him to the U.S. I just felt like after developing this relationship with this boy, who I then considered my son early on, so I applied to a local school here and he was accepted. For a kid like Deacon, who reminds me every day with his excellent grades, he's a straight A student, that there are brilliant, brilliant children in third world countries who just don't have the opportunities that our kids in the U.S. have. So we want to get them past this idea that they just need to survive day to day, but to be able to recognize that they have opportunities that can really make their lives so much more improved and more than what they could have imagined if they didn't have that kind of support.
My dream is to keep working hard and learn something and make good out of it in Haiti. Changing life of others in Haiti that needed help like I needed when I was in Haiti, because I know what is it like to live there and what are the consequences you might get if you don't go to school and don't know anything.
I would say that Deacon was the catalyst in developing a love for Haiti. I think that I always knew that I wanted to do something on my own, and so after 21 trips to Haiti, I have realized that as much as I thought that Haiti needed me and my help, I realized that I really needed Haiti. Loving is doing so much more than meeting just basic needs. It's giving kids like Deacon the opportunity to really flourish.